Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Real Estate Uncensored. We got an amazing show. We are talking about something that's kind of been burning in the back of your brain, but you probably didn't even know it was there. And Alyssa showed me some really interesting information yesterday about ADUs, both in Arizona and California and some other places, how it can actually help your sellers and your buyers sell their homes faster. So before we get into that content, Miss Alyssa Glutz, how are you? What's going on?
Hi, good days. I'm having a good day today. We've got lots of good stuff to talk about with this ADU. I think it's going to be like the word of 2024, So what's an ADU? It's funny. I had a few bankers ask me that yesterday, and it's an accessory dwelling unit, but we call them sometimes guest houses. I don't know if you know the difference between like a guest house versus an ADU. But what I do know for the financing side of it first is that there's lots of changes, a lot of things that have been happening this week. Hi, Jonathan, with ADUs and new laws, mostly California, right, Greg? We got some good new stuff happening there,
Yeah,
but I think it could be a great alternative. I think it's going to be a popular keyword. Sorry to cut you off, because we've got to find ways to make our housing more affordable. Arizona just passed a law recently where they're allowing single family homes in Phoenix to add an ADU with just like a little special permit. Now there's some rules around it as far as who can occupy it. They're not really trying to increase like the short-term rental market. They're trying to make it available to where if you have to move, your parents in there, if you have to move a adult child in there, adult student, or something, that the family can stay there. And so there's some rules involved, but that did just recently pass, like in the last couple of weeks, and California's already doing that.
Well, we've been doing ADUs for a long time, but I think what's really interesting is the new bill that was passed and here in California, we're going to go over. Essentially, it states to the fact that, and this rings true for me because we have a listing right now for 1.8 million, and that property has a renter in there that is living in part of the property, and they're paying $2,300. Now we run out those numbers. That means you wouldn't have to qualify for $1.8 million anymore. You'd qualify for $1.5 million property, which that is a massive difference. And I think people would shift their mindsets if they knew that. It's like, hey, you want to buy this 1.8, all you have to do is qualify is for 1.5, and with the rental income. So what if they jack the rental income up? What if they went to $2,500 or $2,400 a month? Now we're lower on the purchase price, contingencies in regards to financing, because you got the money coming in to pay it off.
Yeah.
And
helps maximize what you can afford, right?
Yeah, exactly. What you can afford. And so if you can afford 1.5 and then you have a 1.8, someone else is paying $2,300 to $2,500 a month. You get along. It's a great symbiotic relationship. All of a sudden you go down the road and now you didn't buy a 1.5, maybe you bought the 1.8. Now it's worth 2.4, right?
Right.
But you didn't have to afford that, but you can take the equity and move it into your next property. That is the cool part about it. It's like a buying above your limit, but still buying above your limit, but being able to afford it. How nutsos is this? So you guys just passed it down there that you guys can turn pretty much any piece of property. You can put a little ADU on the back. Is that right?
A single family, it's something that's marked as a 1 unit, zoned as a 1 unit property, could add an ADU. Now, here's the thing also, that this isn't just an Arizona thing. This is across the country. They just announced it. I think it was just Monday that the Biden administration is now allowing 2 big things for FHA buyers, okay, where they didn't before. You could get if you were going to buy a duplex and let's say that the one side was rented out, you could use that income from the one side being rented out towards your property. But they didn't allow that for ADUs. They didn't allow you to use that income for qualifying. So for example, I had somebody out here that could only qualify for about a $1,500, $1,600 payment. And for what that mortgage payment was going to equal for her for a purchase price in the $250 range for her, it just wasn't going to work. She couldn't, there wasn't anything that she could find. But when she went up to that $300 range and looking at what she could rent in this case, another property. This was a duplex, but in this case where she could have another property and maybe that one's rented for $750 a month, between what she could qualify for, which was the $1,500 payment. Now she's got $750 altogether. That's about a $2,250. For her maximum house payment that's allowed by the bank got moved up. So now she could go closer to like 300, on the sales price, because she could have something on the property that could subsidize. So Biden is now FHA is saying that we're going to allow not only the rent you can get from the ADU for qualifying purposes, but let's say you want to buy a property that doesn't have an ADU. Okay. And you can get an FHA 203K loan, and they will allow you to finance in the additional, the addition that you're going to make with your ADU. They're basically going to find out, you're going to find out like what's the cost of adding an ADU to my property. Okay. And then the cost plus the price of the home, the buyer ends up having to come up with 3.5% of that. Right. And then the work is the house, you close on the house, and then the work begins, and the work ends about 45 to 60 days after closing, and the contractors get paid. And the buyer now has not only their property, but they also have a rental unit that came with the property. I mean, it's kind of a whole package deal that could be cool.
It's a very, 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 very cool package deal, but nobody knew about it. I didn't know about it until the other day when you were talking. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold up. You don't even need to have one on there, but it's
you don't even need to have the ADU yet.
Size.
Yeah. I know.
Think about the marketing. Get really
creative here. Yeah.
Think about the marketing here.
Yeah.
Talk about the opportunities. If you go and you market to all your properties, you say, okay, you meet the different requirements. Okay, we're going to market your property to two different sets of buyers. One, for my example, one to the folks who can afford the $1.5 million properties, right? Then it's going to be to people for the 1.8. Both people are going to be looking, but not everybody knows of it. They can both take advantage of it. Neither of them know about it. So you have double the buyer pool. Imagine talking to your buyers and say, so guys, you really like that house, huh? But it's just a little bit out of your price point. Let's take a look at this. Wow, you guys can qualify for an ADU. So how big do you want to make it? This is what you could get for the different rents, for the different sizes, bed counts, and so on and so forth. Well, we'd like a 2-bedroom, blah, blah, blah. Great. You could get $2,500 for it. I'm just picking numbers out of the sky.
Right.
Okay. Well, now you can afford the house easily with the future revenue of the ADU being built. That is freaking bananas.
And think even in a market where there's some markets where sellers are really having to compete against the new builds, which is just going to get worse. As far as the new builds offering unbelievable programs. I've even got from 3 different realtors just this morning, advertisements from new builds saying, how are they doing that? Well, they're buying a forward commitment. They're buying a bulk of loans. They're basically buying up the market. So there's nobody out there that can practically even compete with a lot of what those builders, lenders, what packages they're offering. I mean, I can even go out to a builder and say, hey, I have a forward commitment package. You can buy 100 loans from me at this 5.99 or whatever the case. You have to be willing to do that, right? But that is going to be the tough thing, is how do we compete? And so if you really are somebody that, not everybody wants to sell their home right now, but there's a lot of people that are going through something that there's no option not to. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they're going through, they're having to relocate. Okay. Maybe they went through a death, maybe a disease. It's usually a D, right? But all of those things before you go to list the property, of course, number one, you stay away from all those places that you're desperate for that are reaching out saying, we'll just make it smooth and easy. You're giving away money at that case, but the other thought is really to look at, number one, either could I add an ADU to my property very inexpensively, even with one of Alyssa's loan programs right before, like if we're thinking we're going to list the house next year and we know our whole neighborhood is starting to pop up with having houses with a guest house. so there's going to be plenty of comps, like that might make better sense. That way, if you're going to be marketing in a price point, maybe it's 500 to 600, and maybe in your area, there's not as many buyers that are buying in that market. It's a great way for you to turn around and go, hey, Mr. 400,000 that you only qualify for. Let's look at it this way, what you're going to get for the rent and everything that you're saying, just being able to market to a lower price point and explain to them, you could buy this. Did you know that this is available? Yeah. It's a big
I
deal.
guess here's the real thing. What are the qualifications for an FHA? I mean, for an ADU unit to either put on or is currently on the property? What's the distinguishing difference?
Well, I can, if you give me a minute, I can look a little bit more, because I don't know. I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly like what the parameters are going to be. I know that, I believe I should know this though, like that, that it has its own in-way and out, and the kitchen and all that. But I'll look at that for a second. We'll put some more notes in your specifics on what the ADU requires, but it's going to be very much depending on zoning, depending on what your state is allowing for. And that's all part of our, some of the things that I was sending to you before the show about, just like things that we've got to look out for, the things that you got to do the research for about,
I think I asked you an unfair question right there, because I asked you what the parameters for an ADU is, but you can't literally give me that because, like you said, there's local rules, legislations, everything else. You have to adhere to setbacks. I mean, you have to really know this. I would highly recommend getting a hold of your local board, your local broker, your local building department, your local association, and go, guys, tell me about the FHA. Was it FHA what?
FHA 203K. That's a specific loan program. That's an FHA backed loan. But 203K just means that it's it's the same. It's any kind of like renovation type of a thing that you're going to do. I've talked to you about the FHA 203K that Guild offers, where we allow it just for appliances too. So it could just be something to where you're like, we need new appliances and this house will be perfect. Well, you can roll those in on that type of a loan.
So that's the really cool thing. Now, when you're out and you're talking about, I'm going to make a video about this and put it on social media later today, saying, look, hey guys, interest rates at 8 or above or hovering around therein. You wanted this certain home, but now it's unaffordable, unattainable. If it has the possibility for an ADU, there's a strong possibility you can easily afford it. Contact me today for further information. Right.
Love it.
So you get the hook out there. You get the tingling in the brain going with the buyers going, ooh, that sounds fantastic. Then you do the same friggin' thing when you go and talk to a seller. You look at the property. Obviously, you understand your regulations, your requirements. You don't talk out of your ass. But if you think they're within 90% of being correct, broach the conversation with them. Hey guys, I want to market to two different people. One at this point, one at this price point, because now they can afford this higher price point with this new loan, the FHA 203K. 203K. And people are like, what is that? Like, it's a loan where people can build in enhancements or new appliances into their loan so they can afford more. Really? Yeah, we should sit down and talk.
And not only that, I mean, just the thing I sent you earlier today that California, Gavin Newsom's been like just signing bills one after another lately. And the one yesterday, I believe it is, making it legal for you to sell your ADU. Okay, so what if you bought one house and then you ended up finding out you had a twofer,
That would be sweet.
I know. So it's like, but isn't that crazy? You can sell. So look, anybody who owns a piece of real estate is thinking, how can I maximize? Like, I know what my home is worth right now. I know that there's a good chance that the value will drop a little bit, maybe, but not that much, right? But at the same time, what can I do to maximize the value of the home I'm currently living in? And most people, I mean, it's an obvious answer. Add a guest house, add another living, another property. We know, and I'm going to read Michael's message here, but we know assisted living, even student housing, it's insane. It's insane. If you could move your parents into the backyard, if you could move your adult ADD child who functions very well Hey,
I, I'm
my brother's Asperger's, ADD, fully functional, but he will live with my mom, always. Um, because that's what works for them. But I think that they would love it if they could just add a guest house where my brother could be comfortable in the back and still have
yeah.
his autonomy and still be able to be independent, but not have to be too far away. I think a lot of us want our parents to be close, but not that close. It depends on your parents, but so you have to kind of be thinking about what you could do to be maximizing your space, and you're really not touching your first mortgage in this case. Maybe you're doing a line of credit. Maybe you have a HELOC, maybe you're just even doing a personal loan, or we do a refi and we do the FHA 203K, but there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And California even offers some grants right now if you qualify. So,
Dude, okay, so here's what I'm thinking about this right now. There's a couple of different properties that we have on the market. One of them, I keep bringing up the one for 1.8. Not that I'm talking about numbers. This is the one that keeps working in my brain.
right.
So on this property, it's 1.61 acres, right? It's got some hill. It got a little bit of a slope to it. It definitely has another spot we can put a full blown ADU, like a fucking second house, like not small, like big. So someone could come in there, buy this thing, qualify for 1.8, 1.5 or whatever, get a 1.8, take some of the money that's built into the loan, get the secondary unit built. Now you have basically three groups living on the property. But at some point, here's what I'm kind of thinking. What's the limit of ADUs, right? Can it just be one? Or here's the reason why I ask, is because there's two contiguous lots next to us, both for about $1.05 million. So that'd be 2.1. They're all over an acre. They're all zoned R15. So I guess the question is, if someone bought the main lot with that existing main structure, then bought the next two contiguous lots, could they all be ADUs?
They could. Possibly. We have to look into the zone. Like you said, you have to check to make sure the zoning is correct. But that's a good question to look into. Exactly what's the maximum, that's allowed.
Because you could create a lot of small communities. So that whole tiny house thing that everyone was, really loving. Take the tiny house, put it on steroids. You still have smaller homes, smaller lots. But instead of them renting them or the tiny homes like being mobile or something like that, they actually put them in the ground like when you're a kid and you went to camp, right? Got a little house, right? That's where you go. You go, go to the bathroom, change your clothes, take a shower, get out, go hang out with everybody else. But I mean, that's what a lot of people are looking for. There's actually a new community. I can't remember where it is, and it's a fascinating concept. I'm not sure if you sent it to me or I just found it randomly. But they're brand new housing developments, generally about 50 homes per development, and they're all rentals. They're designed specifically to operate as rentals for infinity, never to be sold, always as rentals. But it gives the look to the outside world as a normal community of purchased properties. I think
where it's like all of the
here.
amenities are there, right? And well, I know that there's one in Tempe that just opened, Move, I believe it's Move, right by ASU, and it's a whole community where there's no parking, there's no vehicles allowed. Everything is supposed to be on foot. You're supposed to be able to have, you have the grocery store, you have like kind of everything right in that community, but they're renting, they're not buying those.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a shift towards that way. I mean, Gen Zs, millennials, especially Gen Zs, they want experiences more than product, right? I know a lot of Gen Zers, they don't even like social media. I mean, they're so over the bullshit, but they have to do it for work. When all of us Gen X and Gen Ys and blah 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 blah, whatever numbers higher than me, we do it because we actually kind of like it. But a lot of people are getting tired. Like, even I'm getting tired of social media sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's a freaking job, bro. But these folks are saying that they want to shift away from it. So what's saying to the fact that as an investor, you use the exact same thing, you can double your money and qualify for more. And then go out and then resell it. Actually, the bill that you sent me over here in California is Assembly Bill 1033. Anyone in California, go look at Assembly Bill 1033 and read more about kind of what that means, because that is unbelievable. What if you get in a hard situation financially and you have this unit on there and the Assembly Bill 1033 kicks in, you're like, fuck it, honey. All right, you gotta sell the ADU. Great. There's another
Yeah.
$200,000, $300,000, kaboom, right in
Right.
your lap. That's a Hail
Right.
Mary,
They don't
rainy
have to
days
move.
fun.
They don't have to leave. They could take their cat. They got this guy living in their backyard, but I'm just kidding.
But it's not
But
their
that's
backyard
kind of
anymore.
right. That
Because
you can just see this is my side and this is your side,
oh
I
yeah,
can just see
dead
what
grass,
happened there.
green grass. Who lives where? So Michael Fielding, guys, Support Geeks. He's the founder of Support Geeks. Absolutely freaking insane company. He has saved my bacon and is currently saving my bacon on getting a ton of things set up for me. So if you guys need anything tech, go check out Support Geeks with Michael Fielding. But he's writing to us right now. Says that we're thinking about putting an ADU for our retirement to provide an additional income stream for our travel and enjoyment. So. Is that something you think a lot of people are going to keep doing more and more, Alyssa?
Oh yeah. Look, 10,000 people turn 62 every single day. That is a mentality right there. I mean, 10,000 people turn 62 every day. We are going to be overwhelmed with the amount of people that are, above 62. I mean, already we're starting to just think about it. He's really, really smart to be thinking ahead. I feel if there was one thing I wish I could scream out to my nieces, my nephews, all my young kids and everything is the quicker you can start planning, the better. Okay. If you own a home right now and you're thinking, I don't want to get a line of credit right now. We don't want to move right now, but could you want to move in a year? What about in 2 years? You might want to get these things set up like a HELOC. You don't even make a payment on it unless you're using it. But they're a little bit difficult to get set up if you lose your job. Okay. A little bit hard if you can't prove that you have the ability to pay it back. Even if you have the equity in your house, the only way you're going to tap that equity is to sell it. So if you put these little things in place to go, okay, I might not need a HELOC, but I'm going to get one set up. Because at least if I need it, I can turn there and have it, or if I decide I want to create an ADU because suddenly my daughter just showed up on my front door and her boyfriend have broke up and I didn't know she's a drug addict and she needs to move in someplace. You never know. Like these things
let's clarify. Let's clarify. Alyssa's daughters are not drug addicts. They are very well behaved, very educated young ladies.
But I'm saying, I know many others that struggle with that every day. Our kids coming back home, surprises, surprise pregnancies, like all kinds of stuff where it's like, we've got to think about. I had a couple, I told you, that were going through a divorce, realized that they can't each live on their own. So husband's moving into the guest house. And I'm like, this is either the dumbest idea I've ever heard or genius. I don't know. It's going to be very weird when he's bringing people home and stuff, or she is, but anyway,
vice
I don't know how they
versa.
chose that too. Like you're in the doghouse and I'm in the 4,000
that's how it always works in relationships. Guys always get the boot and girls always get the bigger closets. I mean, but when it comes to unexpected things, I mean, a gentleman who was in our brokerage for quite some time, he was at EXPCon a couple of weeks ago as of this recording. He was on stage just fine, came home, bam, dead. Spontaneous death. Nobody knows what the heck happened to him. His name was Rick Gia. Very nice guy. I've talked to him several times. Right here in Pleasant Hill, right next to me, literally right next to me. Just dropped dead. His kids and his wife, they're sitting there going, "What the fuck, man?" And that's the kind of thing that right then and there that could help pay for funeral costs. That could help offset debts. That could do a lot for the family financial situation. Let's say your parents have a larger piece of property. Go put a couple of ADUs on there, bring them some rental income, then be able to sell them off one piece at a time to get them into retirement homes or whatever else. Take the money, leverage it into other investment opportunities that have a higher yield. I mean, there is so much you could do with this
Think
stuff.
about how many of our the moms and dads that we have that the dads are working. They're still working at 60 or 70, right? And mom has always kind of been that stay-home mom, right? And then dad's gone. And then what now what? What are you going to do? Mom, if you had a plan for her, a backup plan, look, you might have life insurance and all these other things. Sometimes they take a while to access. If you had that HELOC, if you had certain things that you could just be like, boom, I got it today. It can pay me back after, but I need money now. It doesn't really help you if you're going to be reimbursed if you don't have it up front. you
So
know?
here's a real question, because there's a lot of times people kind of look down on raw land. They're like, oh, it's so hard. The loans are difficult. You gotta go through all this bullshit. Great. Okay, fine, whatever. But instead of putting one house, what if you can put three? And then
Mhm.
you just slice and dice them up. You don't live in them. You live them for two out of the five. Take it, sell it, move on with life. But you sell the other two off, puts more money in your account. So now you're leapfrogging up in your purchase ability without ever having
Mhm.
to go out and get a side hustle or do something creative or whatever else.
No.
You can just
Yeah.
fucking sell the land that you walk on every single day. You see a lot somewhere, see what the zoning's what there's zoning
What
requirements
they
are.
allow.
Great. Make
Yeah.
sure that you can put ADUs, put a main house like a 3-bed, 2-bath or a 2-bed, 2-bath, then put two other 2-bed, 2-baths on that bitch. Now you have a
Right.
multi-family living scenario on a single family lot that's staying in the parameters of the county, state, and city that you operate in, right?
Mhm.
That, my friend, you could go out and land bank this so fast, because there's people I know personally that are sitting on lots trying to sell these things, but they can't sell them because of the interest rates the way they are, and they need to offload an asset. Now you can market it as a 3 or a 2 unit sales or
Mhm.
purchase for the price of one. Like you said, you get a twofer. Imagine the value add benefits. What would you do the first time you saw that as a consumer? You're like, whoa, wait a minute. Are
Right.
you really telling me that if I pay $1 million, I can get this house and I can build into my loan and get a second house that can then
Right.
offset my monthly by 2,000, 2,500,
Yeah.
whatever it is?
Talk about a
Dude,
house hack. Yeah. That's mortgage hack, right?
yeah,
Mortgage hack. Yeah.
that is okay. Now here's the other question, I guess, and this is just you and I spitballing because we just heard about this, right? But what
Right.
if you have like a fourplex and you have space on the land? You drop two more ADUs on that thing. Now you got a sixplex, but you have two freestanding structures.
Mhm.
There's a lot of value there. That is so
It's
cool.
all about maximizing. The other things I've noticed are a lot of the work home, the situation where you've got the
Yep.
business on the bottom floor, the living on top. Um,
So it's kind of like a
I'm
mullet.
thinking. I'm sorry.
It's kind of like a
What'd you say?
mullet, business in the front, party in the back.
That's right. That's right. I'm thinking though that there's just multifamily, just in general, um, maximizing your land, adding more property. That's just going to be the name of the game. That's what's going to keep things affordable until we all get demand, we get paid more, right?
Well, then there's a whole issue with NAR and a lot of big brokerages stepping out of NAR right now based upon some of the legal battles that's going on with not being able to say the buyers are free, so on and so forth. I think
Yeah.
some major brokerage just stepped out, like a big brokerage. I want to say
I don't know what
Keller
they meant.
Williams, but I'm probably going to be 100% wrong when I say that. But it was a name that everybody
Yeah.
would know.
Right.
But here's the other question. Let's play devil's advocate really quickly. So we're painting
Mhm.
those shiny roses and rainbows and lollipops and sherbet and ponies picture. What happens when there becomes a land dispute of you're on my land, I'm on your land? When you have an ADU and you sell the land to somebody else, do
Right.
you just sell the ADU with an easement for access and they rent or
That's what
lease
I'm
the land so they buy the building? But then what are they supposed to do with the building? Or do you sell the land, you have to get a surveyor in there, chop that thing
right.
up and understand exactly where your lines are? But
Right.
then you got two people, two
That has to
personalities, two
happen.
families on there. Oh, it's going to happen.
Right.
So what happens when dispute takes place? Well, I never agreed, and this is 6 inches over further, or 6 inches too close, or
Right.
whatever the number is. How? I mean, that'd be resolved, I guess, in the same exact way any other property line dispute would be, as long as it's been registered and it's legal and everyone's on board with exactly what those lines are. Have a hard fence that goes up between that, and you're good to go. But there's going to be some issues with this. It.
Because it's a lot of the rooms that were built up over the garage. I just think
Yeah.
that that's more than anything else. It's going to be a specific layout of what your purchase includes. Is it a condo situation too, where it's like you kind of only own the walls in, you know what I mean? And you don't
Right.
own the land underneath it. That's what I'm thinking, is it's just going to go against the same kind of blanket policy type of thing. I don't know.
But then that would mean that the main property owner would be responsible for maintenance of the exterior of the home.
Right.
Hmm.
And maybe that's okay. Yeah.
Do you really want that
Maybe that's what they're
liability?
signing up for, is like saying, hey, if you want the ability to sell your ADU, you are basically becoming a condo property manager. No, or an HOA, or whatever that works. There's got to be some rules in place. Yeah.
Yeah,
But this is new.
I always like thinking about the good stuff, but then you have to be realistic and think about the bad shit
Always.
because when you're on social media, everybody plays what I call the highlight reel. It's only the best things of their life. But in reality, there's a lot of dark and dirty realities that no one talks about. So where's the dark and dirty reality nobody's talking about yet with the ADUs in the backyard. I mean,
I'm going to say that it's still going to be the supplies, like getting the supplies for everything and what that looks like. I would think it would be really smart for realtors out there to go and reach out to a lot of the tiny home companies that are starting up and go partner with a few, feature a few of their homes, because then when people come to them saying we want to build, there's some introductions that can happen there. Right.
That's a phenomenal opportunity because even if someone can't put an ADU on that property, maybe they might want to do a tiny home on their ranch or on their lake house, or maybe they have a family piece of land that they can't do anything with. Nobody can agree. Great. Go drop this whole house on it, start getting some rental income. And there's the possibility.
You're not going to waste time. You're not going to waste any time. Or it's not going to be a waste of time for you to take on learning more about not only about ADUs, but about tiny homes, about barn dominiums. Those are like the hot word too,
my parents have one.
Yes.
My parents have a big ass barn on their ranch, and they have this loft on the top. It's probably 40 yards long, 50 yards long.
Wow.
I think it's freaking huge. And barn loft, is that what you called it? Barn
dominiums.
Barn dominiums. But I mean, it's some pretty interesting stuff. I mean,
they're really neat, and people are into the cool, neat, unusual. It's like, I don't care about living in 1,000 square feet when my parents live in 3,000 square feet because I don't want to look like I'm a total loser, but I live in a barn dominium, mom, or whatever, barn dominium, mom. So, I mean, who cares? It's like, you look like you're successful because you got this little new age project.
Yeah, but you know what? I think a lot of folks, and even I've had a real hard time with this whole moving into a significantly larger home. And the reason why I say that, most people are like, oh, that's sweet. Fuck yeah. And I'm like, fuck me.
It's tight.
It's just so much more work. And I always say to almost everyone on my show, I love my little castle in the sky, 909 square feet. I use every single square foot of this thing every frigging day. Now, for two people, it's pretty freaking tight. One person, it's awesome. It's free as a bird. So I guess it goes back to lifestyle and what you guys want. I mean, my parents have always tried to build a family compound. They actually physically went and looked at old deserted residential development lots with all the infrastructure, the roads, everything was in place. All you had to do is drop a house on it. Now that development had like 12 or 15 homes. I'm like, what are you guys going to do with 12 or 15 lots? That's ridiculous.
I think people get really excited about the idea of a family compound. I hear it all the time. Remember we had those 4 sisters a while back that they wanted to live all together, like next door to mom. And, but they didn't want to live with mom. They didn't want to all live together. And that's, I think, a very clear, very important point is like a guy and a girl, you can live in a small space, but then, you guys got to learn how to, be quiet around each other.
Oh my God, yes.
Have some silence time. I don't know. Learn how to breathe quieter.
Yeah, dude. Jackie, actually, she's taught me how to be significantly quieter. And now when I'm around a lot of loud people in physical form, like meeting them, I'm like, oh my God, you're a lot.
Notice
you just can't stop making noise out of your mouth hole. Please stop. But I'm like, oh my God, that's what I used to do. And this is kind of what I do for a living anyways. I just talk my ass off. But there's a difference between having an interesting conversation and just hearing white noise spew out of someone's mouth hole. Okay, so let's take a couple more points away. I know that this is some very potent content. I don't want to dilute it. I want people to go out and I want them to look and do some research on this. So if you're in California, guys, make sure that you guys go take a look at the Assembly Bill 1033. Take a look at what that is going to mean for all the Californians in regards to selling off their ADU units at some point down the road. and then get a hold of Alyssa and go deeper on what the loans would look like, because you get your teeth into this soon and fast. You could be a dominant player here in your areas, because you can go out and say, hey, everybody who couldn't afford this X, Y, and Z price point home because of rates, bam, I instantly became the savior of your real estate experience. Let's get you into this thing. Here's the loan. Here it is. Here are the parameters. Bing, bang, boom. Smack them on the butt. Get them out the door. Right? I mean, if I was told I couldn't afford, because my cap was 7.5 on my interest. Now it's at 8.25, as our conversation yesterday probably shifted again. But for the point of the conversation, that would kill my deal. But now you come and be like, no, Greg, we can still get you in this house. This is how we can do it. And we can actually bet upon the fact of your future build. I can build the build-in of your ADU. If you don't mind having another individual or small family or couple live there with you and offset your costs, you can afford the home right now, man. Let's get the paperwork drawn up. What?
That's it.
That would save deals day in, day out.
I can guarantee every realtor listening has clients that in this last almost 2 years, 18 months, were ready to go. I'm thinking pre-March 2022, when they were like pre-approved with the lender, 3.25. By the end of the month, it was at 5.25, and now that's here we're at. But let me just tell you, if you reached out to them right now, okay, you would be surprised. I've talked to 3 at least this week that have said to me, oh yeah, I got a raise. Oh yeah, all my debt is paid down now. Oh yeah, I ended up getting a 401k loan, so it wiped out the remaining balance of my car loan. So that's $750 I don't have in my budget anymore. Do you think I should get pre-qualified? I mean, come on. Even though the rates are at 8.25, in the meantime, people have been doing a lot to kind of clean up the budget. Okay, they really have, and they're demanding more money. They're getting more money. We know that. We saw California improve their minimum wage, but don't forget about those people that were priced out of the market, because most of them then what did they do? They went and signed a year lease, right? Maybe a 2-year lease. And now it's going to be coming up. I'm just telling you that March, April, May time of 2024, where a lot of people have now leased a couple years. Now they're like, I don't care what it takes. Like, I have improved, and hopefully and if they haven't improved, if they're in a mindset when you reach out to them that they're like, no, nothing's changed. I make the same amount of money. My score is still the same. Then maybe that's a good time to say, you need to reach out to Alyssa. Okay. You need to get Color My Credit going. So at least in the meantime, you can be maximizing the accounts you have on your credit report, and with her method, with my Color My Credit method. And then your higher scores are going to help you afford more. They're going to help you turn around, and maybe you end up refinancing your car, if that makes sense. Maybe you end up saving half the amount of money you're paying on home and car insurance. And that extra $200-300 savings from having a better credit score, now you have money to put in a down payment fund. And now that money's been growing. So there's so many creative, believe me, when we want things in life, we will get creative. You know what I mean? We will figure out a way, and more things have been coming about, I think.
You know what? I love that you said that. It's something I tell people all the time. When you want to figure something out, your brain can do something that's insane. You can, if you give your brain a $10 problem, it'll give you a $10 solution. You give it a $1,000 problem, $1,000 solution. $1 million problem, $1 million solution. And there's a distinguishing difference between resources and resourcefulness. The resources are everywhere around you. You becoming resourceful and taking the shells off of your eyes and seeing the resources around you, and then becoming resourceful with them on how to execute and utilize the tools. That's where you stand out. That's what makes a very powerful real estate agent and very powerful lender team, because it's not only here's one hole, one option, either you fit or you don't. End of story. Now it's like, dude, I got like dozens of opportunities. You can be tall, short, fat, skinny. You could be dyslexic, ADHD. You can be totally normal. You can be a genius. We can get you out. We got loans for everybody. But not a lot of folks actually take the time. They don't research. They just go off of what they have been told by Aunt Susie, who was a realtor in 1972, and remembers back in my day. Then, that probably not the best resource. She's probably a sweet woman, but not the business source you really want to listen to anymore. Because like
Yeah.
we do this every day, and I didn't even know these things passed. I'm telling you, a lot of stuff is
Right.
happening, boys and girls. Pay attention, look around, be resourceful with all the resources around you. Alyssa, where can people go and listen to all of your wonderful content and soak in this knowledge?
Well, colormycredit.com is a great place to start. Or even if you just Google Color My Credit, you don't need to have TikTok downloaded and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to have all the apps downloaded. You can just Google Color My Credit, and then it will come up and it'll show you the videos without you having to download. You can just watch them right there. They're kind of like reels, or other things. But some people don't like TikTok. But YouTube, or you can come to my website for mortgages is glutzgroup.com.
And for all this dyslexics, Glutz is GLUTZ group. Trust me, that helps me. Okay, guys, go out there, like and follow and share this content. If you guys liked it, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That really helps this channel out quite a bit. Make sure that you guys stick around. Too bad we didn't have Aaron on today. We had a scheduling mishap, and so we will try to get him back never. No, I'm kidding about that, but we'll try to get him back whenever our schedule open up. Definitely after the first of the year, but we love you guys. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Greg McDaniel, or on Greg McDaniel REU on Instagram. Just go look for my face, you'll find me. Alyssa's there as well, but we'll be coming back next Tuesday for another show. Any final words, Alyssa?
Come join me over on TikTok Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 to noon. So I'm getting ready to go over there now. You can come over and listen to more if you want.
Trust me, it's worth your time, boys and girls. All right, guys, we're out of here. We love you. We'll see you in the next time. Till then, peace out, ninjas. We're gone.